Hi everyone, how are you doing? I am feeling much better now. Thank you to all of you who posted your concern in the comments to my last video. I'm definitely over the cold or whatever it was I had. I still haven't had any test results, so I don't know if it was just a cold or something else. I guess I'll never know. So this is going to be a very busy reading month for me. There's lots of book prize reading, so I'm reading books for judging the Costa Book Awards, and also the Booker Prize has come out, so I've started reading some books for that. But it is also August is Women in Translation Month, and I love participating in that, and still want to read some things for that. So I thought I would go through my shelves and pick out some books which are quite short that I can sort of read in between other books that I'm reading this month. And so I thought I would come up with this list of 10 books that are under 150 pages and that you can probably read in a day. I mean, it depends on your reading speed, obviously. Some people read faster than others and can just read 150 pages in an afternoon. Other people, it'll take them a few days, and it'll depend on the writing style and how engaged you are in it all. But yeah, I just thought I'd pick 10 shortish books that I'm hoping to get to. Obviously, I won't get to all of these this month. And also, actually, I still need to read because the winner for the Booker International Prize is going to be announced on August 27th. I mean, they delayed the prize announcement this year because I think they were hoping to still have an awards ceremony where everyone could get together. But obviously, that still isn't the case because of the pandemic. But yeah, I still have to read The Enlightenment of the Greengage Tree. This is a bit longer, so this will take me a little bit more than a day to read this. But this is one that I still really want to get to because I have read the entire shortlist for this prize, and such a great group of books. And so yeah, I'm still really eager to get to this. So okay, looking at the 10 books that I've picked out, and and speaking of the Booker International Prize, one of my favorite books that I read last year was The Years by Annie Ernaux, and I think she is such a brilliant writer, and I've been wanting to read more of her books. I mean, this is a bit a longer book as well, but is so brilliant. And so a very short book of hers that I've already read is called Happening. So this is only 75 pages long. It's translated by Tanya Leslie, and so I've read this already, and it's so interesting how she has this very distinct style of writing where I guess you could call it auto-fiction or autobiographically inspired narrative, because she talks about her own very personal experiences, but puts it through this lens, like almost a sort of sociological lens, where she's looking at larger things in the culture. And so in this, she's looking back to a period in the 1960s when she became pregnant, and she decided she wanted to terminate her pregnancy, but abortion was illegal in France at that time. And so she had to find other means to, she tried to induce her own abortion, and then she went and finally found somebody who could perform it for her. And and it's very harrowing how she describes that experience, but she also is looking at it in this reflective way. So it's sort of examining the past in this way, where she's sort of questioning how she still feels about it. I don't know. I think her writing is so interesting and insightful how she does that. And so another book that I want to read by her, another very short book, is called I Remain in Darkness. So this is another very short book that is only 80. Yeah, it's almost 80 pages long. It's also translated by Tanya Leslie, and this memoir is, or autobiographically inspired narrative, however you want to call it, is her experiences with her mother, who is suffering from Alzheimer's, and how her experiences trying to assist her and help her through this process. And so yeah, it's not the cheeriest subject matter that she writes about, but it's very important, and the way she writes is so beautiful and insightful, as I said, that I think she's just absolutely extraordinary. So this is another one that I definitely want to get to this month. Paula by Sandra Hoffmann, and this is translated from the German by Katy, Derbyshire, and it's being published by, I think this is a new publisher called V&Q Books that publish translated fiction. This is 138 pages long, and it's another novel which I guess you could term sort of auto fiction. I guess that's kind of my genre that I really am into. So this is the story of three generations of women, and how the grandmother of this family, how her fiance died during the war, and so her daughter and her granddaughter obviously never knew him, grew up never knowing him, and so it's sort of examining the grandmother's past and looking how this has sort of affected the lives of these three generations of women. People from My Neighbourhood by Hiromi Kawakami, and it's translated from the Japanese by Ted Goossen. So this is only 121 pages long, and it's what's termed micro-fiction. It's very short stories, which are usually only, I think, 3 or 4 pages long, and just give you this very slice of a kind of surreal type world or situation. I've read a couple of them already, and they're very weird tales that just give you a very odd new perspective. So I think this will be fun to read in between some other books of when I just want a very, small taste of another fictional world. Dead Girls by Selva Almada, and it's translated from the Spanish by Annie McDermott. This is 146 pages long, and this is termed journalistic fiction because it's an account of the lives of 3 different teenage girls from small towns in Argentina in the early 1980s, when the country was celebrating its return to democracy, and how these teenage girls were murdered and their cases were never solved. So it's looking into their lives and those cases, but not exactly from a criminal report type way. So yeah, this is published by Charco Press, which publish a lot of great translated fiction and a lot of great short books of translated fiction. They have one in the current Booker International Prize shortlist as well. So I'd really recommend looking into this press if you're looking for some great short translated fiction. The Night Circus and Other Stories by Ursula Kovalyk, and this is translated from the Slovak by Julia and Peter Sherwood. This is 98 pages long, and these are short stories which blend a naturalistic feel with a kind of fabulist feel. So it's all in kind of recognizable domestic situations. All these stories are set there, but then kind of fantastical things happen within these environments. And so these are more short stories that I think will be good to read in between some other longer books. Territory of Light by Yuko Tsushima. This is translated from the Japanese by Geraldine Harcourt. This is 122 pages long, and it was recently published as a Penguin Modern Classic because the author died in 2016, and this short novel is about a woman who is abandoned by her husband, and she moves to Tokyo to raise her young daughter, who's only 2 years old. And it describes her experiences trying to do that. So when this came out, I really wanted to get to this, and I just didn't for some reason. So this is a novel I'd really like to read. Proleterka by Fleur Jaeggy. This is translated by Alistair McEwan. This is also 122 pages long, and it's the story of a teenage daughter and her father who go on a cruise to Greece, and their experiences bonding or trying to bond because he's very distant, and also about how a sailor aboard that cruise ship becomes quite obsessed and becomes and the teenage daughter becomes an object of desire for him. So it's about her experiences with him and her father. And so I've heard great things about this book, so very keen to read it. Untold Night and Day by Bae Soo, and translated from the Korean by Deborah Smith. And this was published earlier this year. I've been really wanting to get to it. It's 152 pages long, so it tips onto the longer side, and it's about a young woman who has been working at a audio theater for the blind, which is closing down. And so when it closes down, she and her boss go on this excursion out through the city of Seoul looking for a lost friend of hers. It's meant to, I think, be quite a surreal type tale. I've heard, it's quite an odd story, but I'm really keen to read, especially new things translated by Deborah Smith. Really looking forward to finally getting to this. Strike Your Heart by Amélie Nothomb. It's translated from the French by Alison Anderson. This is 135 pages long, and it's the story of a girl who's born to a mother who is so plagued by jealousy that she can't really properly care or show affection for her daughter, but nevertheless her daughter grows up to be a very successful and independent woman, but who struggles with her relationship with other women. And so it's about that sort of like female relationships, issues with that. This came out a few years ago, and I heard really great things about it at the time and always meant to read it. And finally, I have the novel You Would Have Missed Me by Bridget van der Beek. This is translated from the German by Jamie Bullock. It is 122 pages long, and the novel concerns a 5-year-old girl who's growing up in West Germany. Her family have just moved there, and they're living there as refugees, and she finds life there much more of a struggle than in East Germany. So it's about the cultural differences in divided Germany during the 1960s, in that politically tumultuous time, through the perspective of a young girl. And I always find fiction that is written from the perspective of a young child to be quite it can go sort of either way, but I've heard great things about this book, so I'm keen to read this. So those are the 10 books that I suggest and that I'm hoping to get to this month. But like I said, I don't think I'll probably read all of these, but I've also helped perk some of your curiosity if you're looking for some women in translation to read during the month of August or any time of the year, really. So let me know in the comments what if you're interested in any of these, if you've read any of them, what you think about them, but also what else you're reading in translation for the month of August. So hope you're doing well and reading good things and staying healthy, and I'll speak to you again soon. Bye, everyone.